In this video, I will reveal powerful psychological techniques that you've likely never heard before. These insights won't just make people like and admire you, they can make them completely obsessed with you. Step by step, I'll guide you through the process of becoming the center of attention in any social setting. The strategies I'm about to share can be used to enhance your influence, whether at school, work, or within your social circles. However, they can also be used to manipulate people, making them fulfill your needs and view you as indispensable. That said, I take no responsibility for how you choose to apply this knowledge. Now, before we dive in, let me make one thing clear. There is a big difference between making someone like you and making them obsessed with you. If you followed my social skills series, you already know how to get people to like you. But to make someone addicted to you, eagerly waiting for their next interaction with you, requires a special technique, one that revolves around identifying and triggering their weak points. Every person has certain emotional vulnerabilities, and in 99% of people, at least one of these weak points is significantly stronger than the others. Your job is to detect that weakness, learn how to trigger it, and then use it to your advantage. So, how do you find a person's weak points? That's exactly what I'll teach you today. Step 1. Detecting weak points. Human behavior follows a pattern. It's like a straight line, rising and falling naturally. But every now and then, something happens that I call a spike. A spike occurs when a person suddenly shows an unusual reaction. Maybe their tone changes, their speech speeds up, or their attention sharpens. Another sign is if they repeat a phrase twice. This often means they were hoping for a certain reaction from you but didn't get it. When you notice a spike, pay attention. It means you've touched a sensitive nerve. If this reaction is tied to something personal, you may have just uncovered a gap in their emotional defenses, a void they subconsciously want someone to fill. Once you recognize this moment, you're one step closer to making them obsessed with you. Step 2. Understanding the types of weak points. Now, let's talk about the different types of weak points. Once you understand them, you'll be able to recognize a person's inner vulnerabilities just by listening to how they speak. It will feel almost like having a radar for their emotional needs. Identifying these weaknesses will give you a strategic advantage in your interactions. Weak point number 1. The thirst for validation. While everyone enjoys being appreciated, some individuals have an excessive need for approval. These people constantly seek admiration and validation from those around them, often boasting about their achievements or trying to prove their worth. The key to winning them over is not through direct praise, but through subtle, indirect reinforcement that makes them feel valued without appearing insincere. For example, instead of saying, "Wow, you're so good at running," which they'll forget in 5 minutes, try this. Ask them, "How far do you usually run?" When they answer, don't react immediately. Stay silent for a moment. They'll likely ask, "Why do you ask?" Then, you say, "Oh, the other day, Henry and I were talking about you. We were debating whether you could actually run that far without stopping. He said 6 miles is a huge distance." Boom. In that moment, their brain lights up. You've just given them validation in the most effective way possible, indirectly. They feel important because you acknowledged their ability in a subtle way. They heard that others were talking about them. This technique leaves a lasting impression, making them replay the conversation over and over in their mind. Weak point number 2. Fear of failure. This weak point is common among people with big goals, those working toward a life-changing achievement, like getting into a top university, landing a dream job, or becoming successful in their field. No matter how confident they seem, deep down, they struggle with doubt. Their mind constantly tells them, "What if I fail?" And that thought slowly eats away at them. Most people, when they hear someone express self-doubt, say things like, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. You just have to believe in yourself." Wrong. That does nothing to actually ease their fears. If you want them to become emotionally attached to you, your goal is to reassure them, but in a way that makes them feel truly understood. Here's how. Listen first, let them express their fear. Instead of giving advice, give them hope. Tell them a story about someone who was in their exact position and succeeded. For example, "My cousin was in the same situation as you. He doubted himself all the time, but now he works for Microsoft. If they say, "But programming is so hard, I don't get it," you respond, "I get it. My cousin struggled with the same thing at first, but over time, it all started making sense to him." This type of response makes them crave more conversations with you. Why? Because every time they feel doubt creeping in, their brain associates you as the person who makes those doubts disappear. Step 3. Creating emotional dependence. When you engage with someone and tap into their weak points, it's like giving them a drug. At first, they experience a rush of emotional satisfaction, but as the effect wears off, their mind subconsciously craves more. Their brain begins to associate that feeling with you, making them eager to talk to you again and again. Without realizing it, they develop an attachment, an emotional addiction, without understanding why. This is the foundation of social influence and the key to making yourself unforgettable. Final thoughts. Now that you understand these psychological secrets, you have a choice. You can use them to build stronger, genuine connections and become the most influential person in your social circle. Or you can use them to manipulate people, making them emotionally dependent on you. Whatever you decide, remember, knowledge is power, but it's your responsibility how you use it. If you want me to continue this social skill series, let me know in the comments below. This was the Dark Needle, and I'll see you in the next video.